you look at this question, if there's no other thing that you have learned is to create the scenario, then work with the scenario, right? So what we are measuring is the scenario. So when you get a question, you create the scenario. One scenario here will be, say that create the negative first. Create the negative, like -3, right? -3, s is -3, -2, right? -1, then 1, then 2, then 3. Is that not? 3 is greater than 2, greater than 1 is greater than -1, -1 is greater than -2, and -2. Now, if you add all this together, it's going to give you 0. Is that not? Now, the next thing, and if you think about it that way, if you put negative to quantity B, the two quantities becomes equal. The next thing to ask yourself is it possible? Is it possible to? So is it possible to have? Is it possible to vary this number? If we vary this number, can we still get 0? Remember that for you to get 0, it must cancel. You must have equal number. Let me just show you one thing that is possible. It's very possible to reduce this to 2.5. If you reduce this to 2.5, 2.5 and 2 and 1, for instance, at least we have varied one number. Let's see what varied number. If you vary one number, then this one is going to be -1, 2. But to make it 0, we still need to reduce this one. We need to increase this one to -2.5. Then we have no matter how you want to do it, you will notice that you are going to have numbers at their opposites. If you do not have their number, even if you any value, so it's like an equation, right? It have to be balanced. Any increase here, let's say you change this one to 1.5. If you change this 1.5, so there's two alternatives. You can go and add those numbers. Maybe from this -1, maybe you increase it to -1.4, right? And to these two, sorry, you reduce it to you get it to -1.4, and these two, you can move it to -2.1, but it must balance. And because RST and SY, the negative and the positive have to balance for us to have 0. Because since to have an average of 0, the sum is supposed to be 0. No matter how you do it, the positive and the negative have to balance. The first 3 numbers and the last 3 numbers, they have to balance, just because the sum have to be 0. So for us to get that balance, to get that 0, they have to balance. Yeah. So set up the number. Set up different types of different set of numbers, although limited by induction. I know why I always, when we try numbers, I put induction, so that we not come tomorrow and say, oh, but I tried different set of numbers and it didn't still work. Yes, because you have not also tried many numbers. But as you try numbers, you also put it logic. I said, for this to be 0, negative and positive have to cancel each other. So thank you for joining me, and we'll continue at 7 tomorrow.